Hi, thanks for joining us for InFocus Recouched. Now, you're going to need to toughen up a bit for today's program because we've got punks and garbage dumps, dog bites and...
cinnamon, the roughest, toughest spice of them all.
Or maybe not.
Well, this first segment though, Dora, with Dr. Wright is certainly on a painful and, let's face it, a traumatic topic, dog bites.
Youch.
Yes, my favourite topic. We love dogs. There are 3.5 million dogs in Australia as family pets.
Right.
36% of the Australian population have dogs as a family pet, and throughout the Western world, the figure's probably even higher, which means that we interact with dogs every day of our lives,
My
don't we?
mum often says that the English, they like their pets more than they like their children. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, why wouldn't they? You yell at a dog and he wags his tail and smiles at you.
That's right.
The kids are yelling at them and they scream back and hurl things around them like, yeah, dogs are so forgiving, they're so lovely, with those lovely, beautiful eyes, you know. And why we bring it to attention today is that just the other day, the Medical Journal of Australia, which is Australia's premier medical journal, put out by the Australian Medical Association, it points out that there are risks with dogs. And a side of the paper published in Queensland, it says that in a 2-year period, in Queensland only, which is one of our smaller states, one of our largest geographically but small population-wise, that there are over 1,000 hospital admissions over a 2-year period, recent 2-year period, from folk, the adverse effects of dog bites.
Now we don't have rabies in Australia.
Fortunately, no, we don't have rabies.
But I guess some of the places that we're broadcasting to would have rabies, and that's a huge problem. But outside of that, why would you need to be hospitalised?
Well, the age group that they talk about, the most common age group was 0 to 14 years of age. In other words, mainly kids. And the fact was that the kids interacted with the dog, but the dog didn't want to interact with the kid.
Right.
So a few little tips. Ideally, if you own a dog, it's going to be interacting with other people, visitors and so forth. Ideally, the dog should learn instructions from you.
Right.
We have obedience schools all over the place. You take your dog to an obedience school, which are very, very popular. And also, in general, ideally, people who come into a place where there's a dog should ask the owner, look, is it okay for us to touch your dog, because the dog might be antisocial, so you're asking for trouble. And ideally, don't look the dog in his eyes. He doesn't like it. He's threatened. And also,
I have to tell my daughter all the time. She likes to get down and personal with the dogs, but
I know that's the trouble.
Don't do it.
But we love dogs, don't we?
Yeah.
But you don't quite know, because they're still feral, aren't they? Really, basically come from the wolves or whatever they come from. And don't run away from a dog, because that way you are running away, and he's going to run after you and grab you or bite you. That's all he knows, because you're his next meal, running away.
So we got to love our dogs, and but be aware, they're still animals.
But they're still animals, absolutely. So the take-home message is, okay, dogs are lovely. We all love them in the home, the domestic circle. Okay, other outside people, please be very, very careful. Discuss it with the owner first before you go cuddling the dog, and that way you'll avoid a lot of unnecessary misery and probably having to go to hospital. But if you do get bitten by a dog and have to go to hospital, just a bite, tetanus update, absolutely essential. And in rabies countries, rabies vaccination, of course, is available.
Rabies and tetanus injections. Ew. Maybe not getting bitten in the first place is the answer.
Oh, that's what we call preventative medicine, Dora. Yeah. We're going to go now to an interview I did a while back with a guy who, it turned out, lives only a couple of streets from our studios here. He's a great guy, and let me tell you, a man on a mission. And I'm really happy to invite or to welcome into the studio Mr. Matt Ermanhazi. How are you, Matt?
I can, how are you?
And now, Matt, you and I have got something in common here today.
We've got one of these.
Yeah, okay. I believe the slogan is straight edge for life.
Straight edge for life, that's what it is.
Well, what's it all? And the T-shirt too, untoxicated. Drug-free and proud. Okay, well, maybe we're getting somewhere. What's all this straight edge stuff about?
Well, I found about a year ago, I found out about a movement that happened in 1980. And what happened, there were these young kids that went to a punk gig, but they were underage. They wanted to go in, but of course they were underage, and the bouncer wouldn't let them in. And he said, look, I can let you in, but I'm going to put this black X on the back of your hand. But that means that you're not allowed to drink.
So if a kid went to the bar and asked for a drink, the barman would immediately see the cross in their hand and say, no, I'm not, can't serve
exactly.
you. Okay.
So these kids with their Mohicans and safety pins, which is a kind of fashion back then, they took their ex and they went and hung out with their mates, and they saw the band, but other people, older kids, noticed them and they drew the X in solidarity.
Oh, that's cool. I love
so
the X on the hand.
It became like a little, almost like a little gang. Not really a gang, but a bunch of kids with an X on the back of the hand.
Bit of a subculture.
Yeah.
Within the punk.
It became like a subculture of punk. But what happened was that X came to symbolise three things. These kids, they don't drink, they don't smoke, and they don't do drugs, and often for life. So that was the start of a movement called straight edge.
Straight edge.
Yeah.
Is that straight as in, being a bit straight or a bit square? Is that where it came from?
It's called straight edge because there's a band called Minor Threat, and the lead singer, he wrote the lyrics to a song, and the lyrics were "We're living on the straight edge of life." So that's where it comes from.
The name of the song was Straight Edge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they... Right, okay, so what one more time? Straight edge for life. Okay, so look, it's not the 80s, Matt.
No.
So why bring this all up now?
Well, I've been a non-drinker for a while, and I know that when I go out socialising, it can be awkward, especially in our Australian culture, where if we celebrate, you have to celebrate with a drink. And being a scout leader and working with youth, I've noticed that if it's hard for me, it's going to be hard for kids to get out there and socialise. So
because of course kids are at that age. When we say kids, we're meaning young adults a lot of the time, or just under or over the age of 18.
Yeah, but often
a lot of social pressure at that age.
Early teens, and when kids go to universities, there's lots of pressure to drink. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to empower those that don't drink and smoke or do drugs. I just wanted to empower them and say, look, it's not a weakness to say that, hey, I don't drink. It's cool. It's awesome. So I've come up with a design, and I put this design up on Facebook, and it kind of went viral.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we'll get the camera just to zoom in on that a bit. So this is the name of your campaign. Would you call it a campaign?
Yeah, it's a social movement.
Okay, untoxicated. It's not that you can't spell. It's you've actually invented a new word
here.
It's a new term, yeah. Untoxicated. And is it my imagination, or does this label look a little bit like maybe like a beer?
Yeah, it does, because look, people associate beer drinking with being tough. But what I'm trying to say is, look, if you don't drink, it's cool. It's cooler than you've been cooler than drinkers because you can cope.
Yeah. So a lot of times, like not drinking or not doing drugs is seen as being a bit nerdy.
Yeah.
Let's face it. So what you've tried to do is to inject this sort of retro subculture of the straight edge punk into current contemporary youth culture and saying, hey, it's actually cool not to drink. There's a word for it. It's called straight edge, and
But that's where I started. But then what I found was, I put this poster up, and then I got this huge following. I've got almost 4,000 people
on Facebook.
On Facebook,
that's right. I was just on there earlier, like 3,800 likes or something. Yeah.
But I put all these questions up, like where do you come from, how long have you been straight edge, and the answers I got back were from grandparents, from police officers, from Marines, from CEOs. There's all these people, from 12-year-old kids, there's all these people that identify with the straight edge movement. And it's kind of like a cooler way of saying I'm a teetotaler. It's being a teetotaler is maybe something that your grandmother might call you, but really we're straight edge.
Yeah, okay. So is there a religious or spiritual basis to it?
Not at all. I mean, we've got fans from all over the world, from Malaysia, from America, from,
So
Africa.
When you say Malaysia, there'd be a lot of Muslims there, I imagine.
Yes. There's a guy there that's got his own organisation, and he helps kids and university students. And so we're getting our message out across there. We've got a Hungarian model that wants to promote our stuff. It's happening all over the world. It's pretty amazing.
And in America, some evangelical sort of Christian kids sort of
down
jumping on the bandwagon there?
Yeah.
Not falling off the wagon,
Not
jumping on the wagon.
it. Yeah. So... and also Colombia is huge. I think that's our third biggest country, Colombia.
Colombia in South America. Wow. Okay. And what's sort of grabbing them, do you think, about the movement?
Look, I think it's people they know enough is enough. You know, that they've seen how many lives have been destroyed and with the cartels and all that kind of stuff.
Cocaine, of course.
Yeah. So I think, you know, it's a great message that, you know, it's valid everywhere.
Wow. And so apart from kids saying, hey, well, this is something I can identify with, have you seen like young people making sort of wiser decisions about alcohol, you know, because of this movement, because of its influence?
Yeah, look, we've got this thing on the site where people can make a pledge to to abstain from smoking, drinking and drugs.
A pledge?
A pledge, an online pledge.
Do you know how old school that is?
I know.
I mean, this is like 1900s sort of temperance, 1800s probably temperance movement.
But we've made it cool. This is cool.
You've made it cool. Wow, and people are signing this?
Yeah, we've got over 600 people signing up already. And look, we get messages all the time. I think one of the things that really encouraged me was after I put this poster up, and people can download it for free if they make a pledge.
You got T-shirts as well, haven't you?
We got T-shirts. So people could make a pledge, and this guy, he sent me a personal message, and he said, thanks for setting up this page. Since I've joined this page, I've joined Alcoholics Anonymous, because what happens is when people start communicating with others on the page and the website, if someone says that, hey, I'm having problems with alcohol or whatever, the whole community gets together behind this person and supports them.
It's not about ejecting them from the group and saying you're not straight edge enough? Or,
no. People say, hey, you know, or someone might say, hey, my parents have problems with drugs, and I'm so glad I found this community. And so everyone gets together and supports them and say, hey, you know, we're straight edge for life, brother, hang in there. So it's a great community where, look, what we're doing is we're giving people identity and a community and support.
Okay. So if our viewers are interested, jump on Facebook, search Untoxicated, and it pops straight up there. And maybe click the like button and...
Thank you, that'd be good.
Get those thumbs up.
Get those shares out.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for coming in,
Thank
Matt,
you.
and telling us all about it. And one more time,
Straight edge for life.
Man, that X on your hand was massive.
I may have overdone it just a little bit, but, you know, really, you know, too much straight edge is never enough.
You're a weirdo. In a good way, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course. What other way is there? Hey, don't touch that remote. More InFocus Recouched is coming at you in just a moment.
We're going to start with some soybeans. Use some chickpeas, an onion, you have a teaspoon of salt, slice some tomatoes, slice some cucumber, some red onion just to give it a bit of freshness. So just make little falafels like this. They just smell amazing. Let's make our tahini dressing. Let's get in some tomatoes, cucumbers, some falafels. Drizzle some of this lovely dressing. All you need to do is roll it up and you've got a delicious lunch for your family.
Hi, welcome back. Got a favourite spice, Ken?
Ooh, cumin, or cardamom pods, cloves, cinnamon.
Correct.
Oh,
Cinnamon is totally the best, and Sue Rad's here to tell us why.
I went to school with a girl called Cinnamon. Yeah, they say sugar and spice and all things nice, and that's what Sue Rad is made of.
Oh,
or is it cinnamon?
Well, it's cinnamon actually we're talking about today, James.
Yeah. And now tell us, what's the benefit of cinnamon?
Well, since 1990, we've known that cinnamon can help lower your blood sugar level, and it does that by influencing the sensitivity of your insulin, which is the hormone in the body that lowers blood sugar
Yeah,
levels.
with a bit of a smile, I did ask Sue, does that mean I can eat more sugar? And she said...
Not a good idea. But cinnamon's really important, James, for people who have diabetes, type 2 diabetes, people who have insulin resistance, which is a pre-diabetic stage, women with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and anyone with a metabolic syndrome. It really helps to keep that blood sugar lower.
What I really enjoyed thinking about was that you said that the research was done on the cheaper cinnamon.
It's true. Yeah. In fact, let me show you what true cinnamon looks like, which tends to come from Sri Lanka. It's more of a tan colour, but the other cinnamon called cassia cinnamon tends to be more of a darker red, and it has a more deeper, sweeter sort of aroma. And that's the one that they tend to use a lot more in baking, in cakes around the world. And as you said, it is cheaper, and that's what the research was done on.
Oh, okay. That's an amazing, it's an amazing herb. They use it in blends and in all sorts of different ways.
Well, that's right. And and using the sticks or the quills, you could add them when you're making tea, when you're making compote, which is like a fruit soup.
Okay.
You can add some cinnamon to, say, hot cocoa. It goes really well with the chocolate flavour. You can use a cinnamon stick. I'll often add it when I'm making a bolognese sauce.
Okay.
Or you can use the ground up stuff in a whole bunch of dishes, whether it's soups or whether it's stews or whether it's Middle Eastern dishes. Let me show you a few of the blends that you can buy, James. This is called Baharat, or Arabic 7 spices, and as you'll see there, cinnamon is one of the key ingredients.
So they got this from Asia in the long ago ages, I guess.
Yeah, but you know, the Chinese have it too. They've got Chinese 5 spice, and in that, cinnamon is one of the key ingredients. And garam masala, which of course is used in northern India, again, cinnamon is one of the key ingredients. Even the chai, anyone who's had chai tea will tell you it's very aromatic, very delicious. Cinnamon is part of that. So there's lots of ways that you can incorporate cinnamon into your diet.
How much do you need? Do you just need a light dusting on top of a donut?
The research shows that
I
actually
shouldn't have asked that.
any amount is helpful, but the studies have used anywhere between 1 to 6 grams per day. So that pretty much,
a lot.
well, it's not a lot if you use it regularly. And let me show you one way to do that. Now, I've got a little bowl there of rolled oats if you'd like to pass that to me.
Yeah, sure.
This is a way that I make instant porridge in the morning. I'll get my traditional rolled oats if you just want to open that. And I put a good shake of cinnamon on that. I might put some dried fruit, I might put some nuts, and I basically pour a little bit of boiling water from a kettle, cover it with a saucer, just let it soften, and once it's softened I can add my soy milk, my nuts, my berries, and I get my cinnamon in every day.
I love doing this segment with Sue. My mouth often ends up watering. It's just even here listening to it. So, in plain terms, though, how much is 3 grams? Because that's what you need.
Well, about a teaspoon.
A teaspoon,
But it's not hard if you look for these little opportunities in drinks, in your porridge, in stews, in cooking, and it makes the food taste good as well.
Yes, well, there you go. I'm going to go and buy some cinnamon, and you can also go to SueRads.com. You've got lots of healthy tips and recipes, and I can subscribe.
Absolutely. Free monthly food and nutrition tips to keep you motivated in order to stay healthy, James.
You wouldn't think that, would you?
What?
That cinnamon is good for you.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I kind of think of it as just a flavouring, you know.
Yeah.
The idea that it has any health benefits is pretty counterintuitive.
Speaking of counterintuitive, this next interview is with a man who appeared on InFocus no less than 4 times.
Wow.
And he certainly walks to the beat of a different drum. Dennis Perry.
Oh yeah. Watch this.
My guest today loves the tropical paradise that is the South Pacific. But during his many visits to Papua New Guinea, Fiji and other island nations, he's also seen the ugly face of poverty. Dennis Perry is co-founder of Christian charity Operation Food for Life, and he joins me here in the studio. Welcome, Dennis.
Good to be here, Daniel.
Look, it's great to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about the charity. How long has it been going?
12 years, founded in the South Pacific Islands in Tonga.
Yeah.
And over the 12 years, we've been doing countries like Fiji, Tonga, Kiribati, Cook Islands. But the last 4 years, we've been concentrating in Papua New Guinea, where there's great need in that country.
Wow. What kind of poverty are you seeing there?
People are actually physically living on rubbish tips. In fact, it's not a life, it's an existence. I've never been confronted with so many people in such bad and tragic conditions of all the islands of the South Pacific than that I've witnessed in Papua New Guinea.
So it sounds like you're really dealing with the poorest of the poor.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of poverty and the amount of sickness that is there in that country through those tragic circumstances in which we go to and help.
Okay, so the ministry is obviously very hands-on, but I understand you've also been involved in an administration capacity recently, now being recognised as a charity. And you've also met with the World Health Organisation. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, that's correct. Recently, we met with the administrators of the World Health Organisation in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea. Yeah. Over 4 years, I mentioned that we have been feeding, providing clothes to the poor living on rubbish tips. We can feed them and prevent them from dying of hunger. We can clothe them to prevent them from dying of exposure. But we can't help them for what we do with the diseases that are rampant on the rubbish tip. These include cholera, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, malaria, a few for example. So
What was their response to that?
They were amazed to know there were people living on the rubbish dumps in their country. They did not know that that existed. My purpose of seeing them was to see if I could get the people on the rubbish tips and those in impoverished conditions immunised to protect them from those diseases. Yeah. And as a result of that meeting, I'm very pleased to share with you that a Christian university in Port Moresby, who has a Department of Nursing and Science called Pacific Adventist University, are supplying nurses to help us with that immunisation program. So we've been charged, that is Operation Food for Life, to partner with the World Health Organisation, Pacific Adventist University, to go out and help these people by a vaccination program that will prevent them dying from those diseases. So we want to praise God for that. The World Health Organisation will supply us all the vaccine, they'll supply us all the needles. We just supply ourselves, and we're looking forward to starting that program in the next few weeks.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge partnership, the World Health Organisation, the university. I understand you're also feeding children with HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be the hospital's job?
Yeah, look, for over 4 years, our ministry has been to the poorest of the poor. There's a hospital in Port Moresby General Hospital that's got over 1,000 patients. Within the hospital, there is an AIDS ward. There's 200 to 300 children and adults in there every week that are dying of AIDS. Now, the hospital do not have enough funds to be able to feed these people. They can feed for those with the general diseases, measles, sickness, but they haven't got enough food for those people dying of AIDS. They won't feed them because they're going to die anyway. So who feeds them? They invite their families who are dying of AIDS to come in and feed them. But in the main, many won't because of the stigma attached to that disease. That's where we step in, our volunteers for Operation Food for Life. So we go each weekend and prepare food and serve it to every patient who are dying of AIDS, but not only take the food to them, take Jesus Christ to them, because they're illiterate people. They've never had given any hope beyond their current circumstances. We can feed them and show the love of Christ through our actions. It gives them hope beyond their current circumstances. And that's something that we absolutely love doing, not only on the rubbish tips, taking Jesus to those in impoverished conditions, but taking into these great areas of needs that they would never have met Jesus Christ had we not intervened in their lives.
That's just beautiful, Dennis. What's the reaction of those AIDS patients when you go in there with the food?
Many of them will cry. They will cry because of the love that's been extended to them that has not been extended to them by their families or by their community in general. We are so thankful that we're called to do this because we feel that we get a blessing out of that as well. All we're doing is passing the love of our Saviour to these people, and you can see that happening through their tears of appreciation and that hope showing in their eyes as a result of what we do.
Are there ever any points? I mean, this is pretty full-on stuff you're dealing with. I mean, people living in rubbish dumps, people with AIDS that nobody will even feed because they're going to die anyway. How does that affect you? Do you ever think that the job's too big? Do you ever feel, that you want to do more?
I think David Woolley, our co-founder, and myself, I think we never leave these situations without having empty tear ducts. It affects us all, both our volunteers as well. But as much as it affects us and challenges us, it inspires us to do more. We're reminded of Jesus' example of the way he ministered to the poorest of the poor and others who've inspired us. We consider it a privilege to go back and go back and go back. After all, if we don't go back and give poor people off there the rubbish tip of life and give them hope and go into those AIDS wards and give them hope, the same hope that Jesus gave us, we're not fulfilling our mission. For I was hungry and you fed me, thirsty and you gave me something to drink, sick and you visited. And Jesus said more than that, I was naked and you clothed me. We do all that, Daniela, and do so much more and give them Jesus, give them hope beyond their current circumstances. And Jesus further said that, Dennis, David, insomuch as you've done these things, you've gone to the rubbish dumps, you've gone into impoverished situations, you've done it unto me. And that's what inspires us to keep going. We're Jesus inspired. walking in his footsteps.
That's amazing, Dennis. That's so inspirational. God bless you in your work. Look, if you would like to know any more about Operation Food for Life or to offer your support, you can email Dennis. The address is right there on your screen, operationfoodforlife@gmail.com.
Man, such a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if anyone deserves to be called an inspiration, Dennis Perry's it, I reckon.
Yeah, and he's funny too. I don't think he always means to be, but he's got that big smile on his face, and sometimes he comes up with these little cool sayings that he's picked up.
Oh, yeah, like, what was that one? Every setback is a setup for a comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah, a truly fantastic human being. Love it. Hey, thanks for sharing the couch with us this week. We really hope you've been challenged and inspired as much as we have.
Have an awesome week, and until next time, stay in touch and God bless.
Bye.
I never thought I'd be in a war zone, but here I am. There are 30 wars on the planet every year. Every hour, the world spends about $100 million on soldiers, ammunition, and the war machine. In fact, the world spends 80 times more money on the military than it will cost to provide basic water and sanitation for the entire world's population. So I'm pretty safe in saying that our world is a battlefield. But the Earth's battles are just part of the cosmic war. I'm in it, and so are you, whether you like it or not.
To receive a free DVD of the documentary Beyond Conflict, visit hopeoffer.com/conflict or call 1300 300 389.